You could turn me on and turn me up with your gaze. You could make me feel oh so much with your ways. It's so perfect the way you play me. It's magnetic the way you pull me.
Hello? Hello.
You flick the switch, you know me so well. You turn me on like nobody else. I'm a project for you to complete.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Delenn, and it's Tuesday. And yes, good morning, good afternoon, etc. to Kartik. How are you doing this morning? And welcome on in, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. As you can see, I got myself in a hole. Just going to do a touch more of the mining for debris this morning. We have enough to do most of the armor, but not enough for tools. So hopefully we get some more. And the plan beyond that, I don't know if we'll get to it this morning, but the plan beyond that will be taking a look at the Abbey this evening. I think I'm going to do a bit of a fictional cut and run. And what I mean by that is that the reference area I had and the reference in the picture is very, very square. So if we don't make progress in squaring off the building and changing that part of the roof up, I may just go with it because it's fictional anyways, and we'll start moving people in, or at least working on the bridge. So we'll see where we get to, and yeah, that's really the loose plan for today. So part one of that is figuring out what I've got in my chest, just to make sure I still have enough space to do things. But yeah, we've got extra space because these are full-ish, and then these ones are empty still. So we've got some working space. Oh, and it looks like I do not have my sounds on the correct input. I'm getting an echo unless I have it on just an input that I'm not actually feeding through my game. There we go. Alrighty. Good morning to see both of you. Oops, and I'm just gonna put my cheaty screen on. All right, I want to call my cheaty screen. It's that Twitch in-game. When I put it on in-game so you guys can see the mix with anybody on server, often it'll scroll off screen faster than I can respond to it. So I just need to make sure I've got another overlay that I can read. Even though, oddly, the overlay I read is like right beside the actual streaming computer, but for streaming screen. But it is what it is. Okay. So let's get back to some of this. And you guys are actually seeing it a little bit lighter than on your screen than I am. I just had the gamma turned up for you guys. So you'll see me every once in a while look across to where I've got my streaming set up, just so that I can see what's going on and making sure it's not too dark and so on for you guys. So hoping everybody had a great weekend and a great start to their week. I was going to say we had a blast, and it just occurred to me that I'm completely off by a week. Ooh. Okay, nice start. Nice dot. So we're good for that. This weekend's adventure, quote unquote, was, as a parent, we had to go get the kids shoes. And I hate shopping for kids' clothes because my kids have reached that age where they don't tell you they need anything until it's past due. So, and then they find something, they say they're going to wear it, and they don't, It's one of those things. The kids have gotten to that age, and we had to go get them new footwear. We're into temperatures up here that are very solidly mid to late spring. For what we often get up here, we have actually been seeing summer temperatures, but my son was still insisting on wearing his hiking boot height insulated winter boots, which I was telling him was no-go, but he never gave me the reason why he was doing it. And so I finally pushed him on it, and he says, oh, well, they don't fit the week he goes to outdoor school. He tells me that. So as you can imagine, I wasn't in the best of moods after that, so it's a good thing Fantastic Sherlock Fox was being patient, because, yeah. Mom was not a good scene on that one. But we got it fixed on the weekend. We got him a set of boots that actually fit. So, making progress, I guess. Ooh, whoops. Guess I can't go there anymore. Okay, that is the end of it. But yeah, it's all good. Kids will be kids, and they'll do what they're gonna do. Which direction can I go? Huh. Let's see, let's try... Just gonna guess my way around this one. Try to go this way a little bit. See if we can get south a bit more. 1, 2, 3. And then off we go this direction. So how did your weekends or week start off? I'm always interested to hear. What have you been up to? What did you get up to this weekend? What are some of your plans for this week? Always curious to hear that. This week's one of those ones that feels busy, even though it might not be, if that makes any sense. Now, I mean, we're starting to get to camping season for our scouting, which means that I'm not trying to be fussy about the tunnels. It's more that if I can dump extra of the netherrack, then I don't have to worry about carrying that much. It's starting to be camping season, which means then that our scouting is getting busier. So we've got, the usual stuff going on, like we've got bottle drives, and we've got camp coming up where they want us to build a decorative gateway into our camp space for our group, which is causing me a little bit of consternation just because I don't like the hardware store. Don't like going in the hardware store. It's not fun for me. It's not just because I'm a woman, although that's probably part of it, because you don't see as many helpful individuals in there who seem to be able to creatively understand what I'm looking for. That's always a challenge. But I just don't like having to buy supplies for stuff like this. Which is kind of funny because you would think if it's an artistic project, that would be up my alley, but it's not. So anyways, that's got me a little stressed out because we have to start building on Monday, even though our camp isn't for another month. It's more that the timing of the weeks we've got available in meeting time to be able to do our builds is rather limited. So, for example, this coming Monday, we have a meeting, I believe, but then the week after that is a national holiday in our area, which means that we're not going to have a meeting, so no build time. And then I'm trying to remember, I think we have one more week after that where we can actually build. Then we're stuck in camp for a week, and like as in that's on a weekend, so we need camp preparation, which means we can't build then. And the week after is like the Monday right before our actual camp, so we have to get things decided, like menus and stuff like that, so the kids won't have a whole ton of build time. Spicy sauce, but thus far I have one ancient debris, so we're doing good. Put that down there. So that's what we're looking for. And I could hear the guests, and they can stay out there. I don't like them. I still wonder whose cat they used for that sound effect. Or if it was something that they paid for from a... Oh, lovely. I like debris, I really do, but as you can see, I'm quite close to a lava source. So I don't like the debris when we're close to a lava source because getting them out could drop more lava on us. And that always makes me nervous. Really, just one? Okay, well, that's fine. Hey, can't look a gift horse in the mouth. We're almost done this row. And just about time to turn around again. Unless we get lucky and are able to go straight through on an edge. I'm not sure on this row. So. But we're halfway to one more ingot, which is good. And technically, whoa, okay, that's the end of that one. And technically we are halfway to the gold for said ingot, but if I needed to, I could visit the gold farm, so that's not a problem. Alright, so I want to go that way, but I want to stay away from the lava. Let's try here. Might be just skirting the lava, so... 1, 2, 2, 3. And it sounds funny that I am careful about how many I do, but I find that, for myself at least, max exposure seems to happen when I'm doing a 2x2, and then every third row, because of course you've got the two in between, so you expose one on either side. the math isn't really there, but it's just something that has been comfortable for me. So, hey, if it's comfortable and it works, go for it, right? The other reason I only do them 2x2, some people say you should do them 3. Not 2x2, sorry, 2x1. And some people say you should do them 3 high. And the reason I don't is purely Enderman. That's it, plain and simple. So that means that I could even, in theory, be mining. I'm not, but I could be mining right underneath a warped forest and have no problem with Enderman showing up inside. Because I tend to have that happen, sort of. If I've done 3 high in the past, it's worked out that way, that you end up with an Enderman in your tunnel. And he's kind of inconvenient. If you don't see him show up, then you can also have problems, of course, because you can hit him and then there's nowhere really to go fast enough. Okay, that's the end of that one. And there's the do not enter torch. Let's see. Can I go right beside it? Probably not. I think I'm going to step back by 1, 2, there we go. Back the other way. So as I said earlier, we won't be spending all day doing this. I will at some point go back to base, and we will actually, quote-unquote, install the netherite we have, or pardon me, the nether scrap and stuff, and get the armor all suited up. I don't think these... Okay, they do have protection 4 on them. I couldn't remember if I'd souped up the pants or not. Just a bit of a quiet day to start the week. I'll be honest and upfront. I actually was having a bit of a challenge trying to decide what to do for the last few episodes. It's not because streams. It's not because of any real burnout in an actual sense. It's just a lack of confidence piece. So I have a tendency to think that what I do isn't interesting to anybody but me. Therefore, trying to keep the stream interesting is a bit of a challenge sometimes. Or at least I feel it is. So I worry about that quite a lot. And this netherite mining may seem like a cop-out, but it's something I needed to get done. So definitely looking at that. Trying to figure out what else are the need-to-get-dones when you're on an SMP with a lot of people who are advanced and friendly and build all kinds of big community projects, or are willing to gift and or trade for things. It could be a bit of a challenge to figure out what's left to do. I was thinking about the theme for my base, and I'm not really sure I'm happy with it anymore. Just because it's one that's tough to make progress on. I mean, once I've done the Abbey and I've done the castle, aside from fleshing out the medieval town, there isn't a whole lot left, right? It's conceptually. So I sort of went, well, what now? Or what then? Right? Because if I don't think the Abbey's ready, there's pieces you need, like we need a river. Not a river, sorry, we have a river. We need a bridge. We need to make a mill. We need to build up, Abbot's lodgings and stuff. And that sounds like a series of projects, but they won't last all that long. Hello, Tom. How are you doing? How was your weekend? So, yeah, here's me, crying all around, to borrow a phrase. Ooh, I guess that's the end of that one. Usual, Tom knows me well enough a few seasons in that there is a point where she starts crying all around just because she loses confidence if things aren't snazzy, and we're just hitting that for the first round this season. The individual projects are still fun for me, but that doesn't necessarily mean I think it's the same for everybody else, so I need to find that angle, right? And anyways, today, debris is a good one because then I feel less squishy and more bold, and I can just power on through some of the stuff. So that's a good one. I mean, the rumors are Bedrock and RTX and Schematica stuff. Oh, yeah. Schematica is an interesting mess in Bedrock. So Schematica and Lightmatica, which I've been using, are fairly similar. And what I mean by fairly similar is they allow you the similar ability to have shadow blocks available that are just already pre-framed to whatever your build is. So if you've got a complicated build that you've designed in Creative, or if you've got some sort of redstone machine you're building, then it can make life a lot easier in survival to have the design already laid out for you. I mean, if you think about real life, you get architectural designs. So in Minecraft, why not, right? That's kind of what it is. And just because somebody made a mod for that in Java, if there is a way to do it in Bedrock, why not? And it's been done. So the thing about it in Bedrock, though, is it's far more complicated to get rolling than it is in Java, just because Java, you install a mod, you get the right tool, and you get your design, and off you go. I mean, there is a special file type and stuff, but it's really an off you go. You can turn it on, use your tool to adjust where you want it, and that's that. Bedrock is a lot more complicated because partly depending on the size of your schematic, their base points, where sort of the projectors, so to speak, are armor stands. So you've got multiple different directions, different poses, different, there's factors to get it just right. And then if your design is big, then you may have, or quite frequently have, a lot of armor stands to get placed. So there's a bunch of elements to it that are more complicated. What did I do with... Oh, they're over there. Okay. Trying to figure out what I did with the other debris, and now I know. Those away. Put them away right away so that I don't lose them. And then this one. I do the usual, pulling things back that fit. And we'll get anything that fits up in the other direction. That looks good enough, I think. Well, let's do the other usual. This mess. Ooey. There, now I can do that. Sort. We have room for some gravel. Get this out of the way. I won't have quite a full stack, but I don't really care. Dream Deck, this is not the time to tell me you've got an update. That's just dumb. Dumb. Alright. Considering those are less important, I'll just carry that one. But I do need to find my toolbox and get a different pick because I don't like losing these. I think somewhere in my inventory I've got, or somewhere in my mods I've got an inventory like warning thing or an auto swap out, but I can't seem to find out where it was to know if it's enabled, so I don't want to mess with it just in case. It's been hit or miss so far, says Tom. I'm not a huge fan of all the blocks looking like they have a glass finish, and the ones that don't seem to have other pronounced effects, fog, direct lighting, etc. Oh, yeah, he's messing with RTX as well. I'll be honest, as you can probably tell, I don't use shaders a whole lot. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that there can be all kinds of weird things like that that happen in shaders in Java. So that's part of the reason I don't. Though I will say I like the Complementary and I like Complementary Reimagined, and there's a few other ones that have their perks. I've yet to find one batch that has all the stuff I like in one package. But the other thing I find interesting is sometimes, not always, but sometimes, if a person's using shaders, that's almost a giveaway as to which package they're using. I mean, it's not that... Okay? It's not that... one at a time, that's fine. It's not that one can and one format can't use shaders. It's actually the other way around, in that the RTX has such a glassy, glowy effect and such a darkening effect on other elements that I find the Bedrock one is a bit more of a giveaway with shaders than the Java one is. But I just think it wasn't necessarily implemented correctly. Fantastic Shark Fox says, interesting, I struggle with block identification from time to time due to the color issues, so I worry RTX would add to the challenges. A lot of it, I find, is that RTX doesn't necessarily make sort of like real-world logical sense in terms of what it chooses to highlight and what it chooses to add extra shadow to. So I find block identification difficult, and I don't have color issues. So, yeah. That was one of the reasons why, even though I could use RTX when it first came out, actually maybe it wasn't when it first came out, maybe before I switched seasons, but anyways, the point was, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not going that way anymore. He's not there. We're at the spot where I have to cut backwards quite a lot. 1, 2, 3, and I make it past. I'm like right on the corner. Let's put a do not go sign right there. Let's see if I can make it through here. Yeah, I can make it back. Okay, good. Where was I going with that? So, I mean, the RTX isn't necessarily heavily related to my decision to play Java this season, but it is one of the factors. Because I'll admit, I haven't been super happy with the way that Vanilla's been looking in either format. I use Vanilla because, well, right now it's just because I'm lazy. That's really about it. But when it comes to making builds, I want to be able to see the build looking the way that somebody else would see it if they walked in and weren't using shaders. Right? But other than that, the Vanilla itself, I will admit, the basic design, while they need to go, 8-bit or whatever it is their base format is, I think enough people are starting to use shaders and such, and texture packs and so on that are higher, that in all honesty, I think the squares is where it's at, and I really do feel that the whole 8-bit thing, we're done. I'm happy to be divorced from that anytime soon. It doesn't necessarily have to be real. You can have a fantasy type design if you want. I'm fine with that. It doesn't even have to be, and I'm not even saying it has to be cartoony, but I'm just done with this squares aesthetic and like on texture patterns. I don't care if the whole block is square. That's fine. But hey, you haven't got some sort of opinionated nonsense out of Delenn. It hasn't been a full stream. Okay, that's a no-go. Where's my turnaround? Okay, so we got it going this way, but I have to cut back a few again. 3, let's try this one. Can I get... That's cool. I think we're both playing Java this season, but it's really nice to know that exists. Two, 3, got it. Alright, I can go the other way. Alright. Oh, that's fine. Good to know. Right now, our kids are hit and miss as to whether or not they're playing Bedrock or Java. Most of the time, I would say they're playing Bedrock. Ooh. So if we were playing with them, that would be a very, very helpful feature, so no worries. And I think the reasons our kids are mostly Bedrock is because A, they don't like making worlds when they do adventure maps, and B, that my daughter is very flexible as to what she wants to play on. So sometimes she's on her laptop, quite often she's on her tablet, which generally means then, of course, that, that she needs to be playing Bedrock. The other part of it is her friends that are also playing Minecraft with her sometimes. I believe they only have access to Bedrock because of the platforms they're playing on. I'm not fully sure. I know that's the case for one of them, but I don't know about the other one. That was a really short run. Ah, I'm in this like ping pong around the center section. Okay. Okay, just for my interest, I think I'm going to go up north of the gummy worm-shaped blob to our west here, and then start coming down between that and this other lake on the far side. Because then it means theoretically I could go way out west if I needed to. There you go. Vanilla tweaks. So if all else fails, we can add a vanilla tweak. That's cool. Good to know. Okay, so that's... I'm just watching my mini-map in the corner as we go, so I'm directionally challenged half the time. Ow! I don't know what I did to my back this weekend, but it's got weird tweaks going on every once in a while. Okay, you know you made a mess when? Can you see that I and other players disagree on what level to mine on? They may be more successful than I am, so that's possible. Where was I going? I wanted to go west, didn't I? The west of the... Hello, sir. West of the blob, and then start coming down again. So I need to go back, figure out which one skates across the top of the blob. Run. Ugh. Ow. Alright. How do I lose that? There we go. Just kind of watching the edge there. Probably one more. There we go. Probably safe enough. Yeah. Well, I mean, helper tools are awesome. They're not just for making things look pretty, and some people say it's unnecessary. But if they make the game, as I've said before, if they make the game enjoyable, go for it. Right? Hey, Jen! Yep, that's cool. No problem. Good to see you. Hopefully you have a great day. Doop-doo. Go. Whoa. So I said last week that when people were being ultra generous, that I was going to spend some of the funds on emotes and such. Still working on the look, but I've temporarily shelved the idea, not because of any reason for funding or anything like that. It's because, as I mentioned earlier, I just want to get my feet back under me content-wise. So look is fine to play with as far as the stream look and stuff goes, but I feel it's not important if I can't sort out the content that's being made. So just refocusing, because as I said, with all this camping stuff, I have a lot of distraction. On the bright side though, for one of the camps, the one where I got to have this gateway, I found out yesterday, or Sunday, sorry, in a meeting that they're going to have Wi-Fi on site. It won't be strong enough for me to stream from, which I don't know why I would want to on the weekend, but it does mean that after I get the kids in bed, I can turn my head to other things. And if I'm not dead tired, then I can, or have a headache, I'll go with that one, then I can potentially watch a stream or two on Saturday night. So we'll see what I get up to. I don't know. It's funny, sometimes I go to camp and I miss streams, and then other times I'm in streams and can't stop thinking you're talking about camp. It's just one of those weird situations. Yeah, I guess I should probably take a look at Vanilla Tweaks. I haven't been there in a while, so the tweaks I'm actually running are quite old. So I should probably go and update those. There's the lake, I think. Yep. Time to ping pong back the other direction. Come on. This one, that one. Add the do not go, and south. I'm going to find the micro lake, huh? 1, 2, 2, please. Thank you. 3. Oh, I didn't. Okay, good. All right. In with this whole gateway thing that we were talking about, we've also asked the Cubs and the leaders to think their heads around making a costume. So apparently there's a costume contest at this upcoming camp. And so I have to try and figure out my head around that one. Our theme is Sasquatch, or Bigfoot. And so we can dress up like the character or something to do with hunting down the character or whatever. And so one of the thoughts I had was potentially make some big feet, as in like Bigfoot feet, and just to make footprints or whatever, but I think I'm going to be some format of person that is attempting to hoax it for others. That sounds nasty, but the idea behind that is things like, you know, if I wanted to come for the lore reason, I could be some sort of maybe tour operator. That's another option, where I go in and plant the big feet just to try and get the tourists to come and look for them because they're looking for the Bigfoot, which may or may not exist. When our group did this particular theme before COVID, they went to the same like a group or a multi-group camp. They call it Cuborama, so it's the 8 to 10-year-olds. And when they did this theme a few years ago, our group actually asked for it again because we thought, oh, shoe in, you know, in terms of design and whatever, get help and stuff like that. Didn't happen, but anyways, the kids liked the Sasquatch Bigfoot idea, so they went with it. But when we did this idea a few years ago, one of the scout leaders actually bought a Bigfoot costume and dressed up as Bigfoot. Now, unfortunately, our two taller than me and one of them quite more substantial than me scout leaders did not seem interested in being Bigfoot for us this year, which is too bad, because I think one of them would have been hilarious as Bigfoot. But I don't know what they're going to come up with. I'm hoping to be able to hear what they've got planned in a week or two, just because they're all busy people. But that's my thought then. If we're going to pretend Bigfoot's real, that's probably an easiest one. The kids are all encouraged to make their own costumes as well for the costume contest and parade and whatever. And I'm hoping some of them come up with something cool. It'd be fun to see an 8 to 10-year-old, somewhere in there, dressed up as Bigfoot. That'd be kind of cool. But so far, we've got one that wants to be a newspaper reporter, another one that wants to be virtually a bird watcher, but really like a Sasquatch researcher. One of them wanted to dress up as an activist, which I thought that was kind of weird. I don't know what they meant by that, so we'll just have to see. And my daughter hasn't said what she wants to do yet, so I have to poke her on that, because if we're doing two costumes because we're a leader household, then we need to get some feedback on that fairly soon so we can get started. The brand new Geek Out. So Sherlock Fox has just run a Geek Out, and our topic, wow, got rather quickly. Our topic is name 4 shows on which a recurring character is named Joseph, Joe, Joey. Yeah, Joseph, Joe, or Joey. Did I just miss? My brain is totally up to lunch. Oh, there we go. And thank you very much for the contribution to the Lego goal. I appreciate that. We are 10,000 away from our goal of 100,000, and there are 12 days left to reach that goal. What that goal means is I will, at the earliest available opportunity, have an extra stream on a Friday. I will give you guys notice for sure. But I will be putting in an extra stream which will... Okay, not there. Which would be an end-to-end stream. And then you can build 12 Grimmauld Place Harry Potter themed Lego from start to finish in one stream. I don't know how long it's going to take because one, I can get a little excited and power through some of it. Other times it can feel like it drags. So I'm not sure how that will go, but that's the idea. And hopefully we'll come up with something cool to do with that. So I don't know if there'll be anything special yet. I'm just working on ideas. And some of the ideas are a little pie in the sky, so I need to sit down with Fantastic Sherlock Fox and hash out a little bit more about what's actually realistic. But it would be kind of fun to have something to go with that. We'll have to see what we can do. I can think straight. There we go. Let's clean up some of this mess. I'm not a wolfen, but on the other hand, I keep thinking that if I let things despawn, then I'll come up with some random idea where I need them and won't have them. So that's why I keep picking up my mess. The other part of it is somehow in the back of my brain, I don't want to be accidentally that player who's caused a bazillion pieces of debris on the ground that makes everything lag for a few minutes. Here we go. That one's full. Oh well, I'll wait till I'm full again before I bother putting it away. Alright, but yeah, that's the way the Lego thing is supposed to go, is that we'll build this 1,000 and... what is it here? Keeps forgetting. 1,083 pieces. Which is much smaller than some of the people like Local Brick Shop have built on stream. But on the other hand, at least I won't have one that's running more than 24 hours. Like, that's just silly. This is one structure, not an entire village. As much as I like the Diagon Alley set, and I really do, at the moment I don't currently have shelf space for it, and some of the buildings in there are a little janky. So we'll just have to see. At some point, maybe, but I mean, they're very expensive sets, and I have a bit of a limit. I don't like the super expensive Lego. I mean, truth be told, Lego in general has gotten kind of dumbly expensive over the last few years. It's not that prices keep going up and up and up. I mean, they do for everything. But when you've got a big machine system that could just crank these things out, and you keep shoving in colored pellets and they come out the right shape at the other end. Yes, I get that takes... I mean, those are expensive machines and so on. But sometimes I wonder if the cost for the pieces of plastic is worth the amount that the customers pay. There's, I know there's always business and overhead and all that other stuff in the middle. But it still makes me wonder, I don't expect cheap, I don't expect free, but some of the knockoff products that are compatible unofficially, their pricing seems a little more realistic. So anyway, they don't pay the licensing fees for some of the intellectual property that Lego has paid for. One example that I think is worth it, pardon me, is The Lord of the Rings is one of those. Whoa, one of those ones I think that Lego was right to pay for. Okay. I guess I have to plug this. I guess I have to turn a bit sooner. Definitely do not touch. 2, 1, 2, 3. Right. But yeah, they're doing good things with the Lord of the Rings sets. Right now, they have a rather beautiful Rivendell set that is a lot, but looks great. So I'm pleased that they spent the money to do that. There we go. See, every time I start to wonder if I'm on the right level, I find one debris. Some people have said Minecraft is a little bit like Digital Lego Plus, and the plus being that, sorry, and the plus, oh, I'm sorry, temporarily the comment seemed random, then I forgot we were playing Geek Out. The plus being that we have some awesome mobs and such. And I have to keep reminding people that it's more than... Minecraft is more than just squares in terms of building, digging, and stuff. You create things. And you create things with a purpose to try and help you get to an end, if that's whatever your end goal is. I mean, your end goal could be a creative design. Your end goal could be some sort of, I don't know, living in the world type of goal. Your end goal could be, dealing with monsters or mobs. But whatever the end goal is, it's more than just a bunch of blocks that snap together a la Lego. Nether tunnels. You can see in the mini map in the corner that we've got a piglin of some sort hanging out in there, and it's like if you build it, they will come. I would not normally have thought that the Nether would be one of those Field of Dreams moments, but hey, no accounting for pig taste. Which one, Fantastic Show Fox, by the way, which character in MASH were you referring to? I can't recall. I mean, so many of them go by their last names or nicknames that I just don't necessarily connect two and two together. Oops, wrong way. Turned a corner, that was kind of dumb. One on this side, just a courtesy. One on that side. There we go. What have I got for maps? Well, I could go further, I'll just go south. Okay, so we've got one. Build holes. 1, 2, and then 3. Back we go. Wow. Okay, that was not what I expected. Good thing I've got the gold pants on. Probably going to bump into the lava this time. You may need to skirt around it. Goodness, you're on fire. Better than me being on fire, that is. I need to go around. Just a little. Yep. Whoa, whoops. Okay. Ah! Ah! Oops, this way. Run, run, run. Run, run, run. I don't want to be on fire, thank you. Oops. I think I poked the bear. Yes. Oops. Definitely don't go there. The other tunnel. Let's go down this way. Alright. Back on track. Oh. And once again, dumping extras. almost full. Okay. Hey Bob, how are you doing? How was your weekend and start of your week?
Oh, hello there!
Good to see you. We're just hanging out in the nether doing a little bit more netherite, or ancient debris mining. There we go. I'm just being a touch selfish here and deciding that I needed a little bit more. Let's see if we have enough now. I'll put that up there for a second. Oh, kind of need that back. Okay, so what have we got? We've got helmets done. So I needed 1, 2, 3 for the regular pants. And then we've got 4, probably one of the picks, so 5, 6, 7. 7 sounds about right. Do I have enough? So 3, and then 1 will be 4. That's 1. And I can't seem to think. 17 divided by 4? No, that's only 4 with 1 extra over. So we're... yeah. So basically I've got about 5 pieces here, and I would like 7 if I can. So let's see what we can do. Get a little bit closer. Let's move the rockets. Oops. Just finishing off your work day. I'm glad to hear it sounds like it went okay. Went okay? Hopefully you'll get a good chance to relax this evening. Why not? Right? Never hurts to start fresh. Okay. Hello, Benson. How was your weekend? Hopefully your weekend was okay and that your week started well. Well enough, I guess. Of course, no matter what you say or anybody says, it's always a matter of taste. In terms of whether or not they're having a good week to start. Right? It's a point of view, I guess, is really where I'm going with that. So you're not missing much at the moment, other than doing my own version of Crying All Around. We've been playing some Geek Out, and I'm just going to switch that one to a new topic. The current topic is 2 dating game shows. I'm sure we can probably get beyond 2. I know I used to watch at least 2, but I can't at the moment remember the names of them. And other than that, I've just been whining about Scouts. Nothing exciting, you know? The other part I don't like that I have to deal with, or we need to deal with this year, which is not great, and nobody ever likes this part, is every year you have to decide which kids are appropriate to send up to the next level because they're mature enough. Whoa. Okay, blew that one. And which ones, due to their various maturity reasons, are not appropriate to send up even though they might be officially old enough. And then try and broach that subject with their parents, which is kind of uncomfortable. Tuesday has been good so far. You went to your favorite coffee shop. Ooh. So what was your coffee of choice today? You say went to or are at? Because if you're at your favorite coffee shop, then we need to hydrate. Just to give Benson a good start. Why not? I could use one anyway.
2, 4, 6, 8. Everybody hydrate.
That's everybody, and the math of how much I tend to drink is going to be wrong anyway. Oh, that is so nice. It's raining outside. It's been raining for most of the weekend. So, well, let's fix that. The math is wrong anyways, so it's not going to be a big deal. Set hydrate, 1 coffee. There we go. I don't know why when it sets it, like its content, it seems to change it to like a reset all over. I don't know what's going on with that. I'll be honest, the math never did work. It looks good, but it never did work. So if all else fails, I may just cut that part off. We'll see. We'll see. As I was ranting about earlier, just in short, without starting the whole thing over again, is things like hydrates are bells and whistles, and the content is key. And that's the part I stress out over the most. So, yeah. Nothing new there. But I'm still curious, though, Benson. You said you're on your second cup, but what kind of coffee? Just like a regular coffee with whatever you want to put in it? Or is there something particular you like an Americano, or what sort of thing works for you? Ah, okay, you're in the week-old coffee crew. Gotcha. I like when I do teas, I leave my tea grounds in, so the tea bags in, and that person. Or if I do loose leaf tea, I've got a tea press type mug that I like, which means then that in essence the tea bag's in the bottom, because if you put fresh water in, then you could always lift it up and press it down again, even though it's going to be weaker at that point. But I can't seem to get my head around things like that. Like even a sun tea, where I've got a sun tea plant that actually is overdue for me to use. But I mean, they're like that. But this one's one of those like dried little plants that makes tea, but it's a ball, and you put it in, and Fantastic Shock Fox actually has a really nice teapot for it. So you put the water in, and you put the plant in there, and you just watch the whole thing uncurl, which looks pretty cool. But even so, that still only takes a few hours. It doesn't take like cold brew tea. Cold brew coffee is just, yeah. No, you can't. Well, there's a limit, I would say. I think most teas, if they're packaged correctly, you can't make them too strong. Really, I find that they can get them too strong if you misjudge the quantities. And loose leaf can be that way sometimes. But most of the time, it's pretty good. Also, I haven't got round to, it's just, yet another one of those things, where my travel to camp bag of teas, one of the evening loose leaf teas, unfortunately, this round, after going to camp several times, we're talking like nearly a dozen, it finally decided that it was going to somehow escape the little Ziploc bag it's in, so I have loose leaf tea throughout the rest of the bag of teas. This is why I always multi-bag things, so the Ziploc bag ended up in a bigger Ziploc bag, just for that reason, but I didn't expect that it would ever happen. So I would say I can, in a pinch, I have not now, but in a pinch, if there's a camp where I don't think we're going to be getting access to a coffee maker, I like instant coffees, because quite often they'll have a lot of the stuff I like to put in them, ready to go, so it's just a packet where you open it up, pour it in your cup, and off you go. And some are good and some aren't. But just recently, actually, one of my co-scouters from the troop level, so the scout troop age, they showed me, they've got a tea press like I have, but they said they like to have tea and coffee, not mixed together, but like those, they don't seem to mind interchangeably, but they need something in the morning. And so what they said is, in a pinch, they'll actually take coffee grounds and put it in their tea press mug, and then do it kind of like one of those Bodum presses, and just press that out. Which it depends on the grind of the coffee whether or not that'll actually work well. But they've done that. Now I have not yet tried that, just because I have, from what I think for myself, a better way of doing the tea than it works. Where am I? So I just got distracted by the fact that I was in the middle of a spiel, but at the same time getting myself dealing with these little micro lakes, I guess. I'm trying to figure out how I want to go around it, whether I want to go to the south on this one or whether I want to go to the north. I was probably just poke back into the north because I know that tunnel's safe. So I mean, I have ways around it, but the reason I probably won't use the tea press trick myself is just that the one-off putting coffee in it would ruin whatever's left of the scuzz that you can't seem to get out of the screen kind of thing. So your tea would start tasting weird. The other part of it is that that mug is great for thermals, but if you're not drinking your tea right away, it's not as good as some of the like Yeti mugs or whatever for keeping things warm. So I actually would prefer in those cases, my go-to is often to just get the little bags for the loose leaf tea. And the little filter bags work fairly well. Brew, French press coffee is often not people's favorite. I mean, like, there's some that swear by it in the same way there's some that swear by cold brew. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, and all that. But what did I do? Is this the same one? Yes, okay. But at the same time, when one's out camping, it's actually quite nice to have cold brew at that point. Uh-oh, did I bump into a bed bombing session? Yeah, I think I bumped into a bed bombing poke bowl. Oh, no, not quite. I thought I did. Okay. In any case, 1, 2, let's go spade. 13. No, 12. There we go. But yeah, at camp I find that it's a good backup, because that way sometimes your coffee can taste a little fresher than the instants in a package. So we've got we have a few leaders at the scout level that swear by having coffee around all the time. But this coming fall is going to be interesting because just the way the leadership volunteering worked out, we have a a hardly ever coffee drinker. I discovered they will. If it's been a long night, they will actually have coffee in the morning. But it's not a thing they need to even think about at camp, so that they often forget to bring it. And then the other leader is a teetotaler. Loves her tea all the time, like as in non-stop tea all day long. Mostly herbals, but generally tea of some sort all day long. And that leader's great, but once again, if you're a coffee person, she never has water going because, of course, as Bob will attest, that your tea is always better if you have the water fresh, boiled right that minute. Though I will admit, I don't follow the rules of quote-unquote proper tea drinking, where you preheat your cup before you consume your tea. That's just never been one of my particular quirks. This one. 1, 2, which makes me kind of an uncouth person when it comes to tea drinking. Coffee always around is nice, but risky. Yeah, that Fantastic Shock Fox was why I drank so much Coke Zero when I was at Tech. How do we put this? Kindly, I guess. There became a bit of a joke in my house and at the office with some of the techs, because Fantastic Shock Fox had worked tech support before I did, but so therefore we could commiserate with similar stories. But anyways, I got to a point where there was a particular nationality or a group of Eastern European nationalities that I don't know what it was, but they were never easy to deal with when it came to tech problems. They always seemed to assume that we should be able to explain in minute detail what the problem was and how to fix it on absolutely every problem within the first 10 minutes. Even though they were willing to push through to make the call like 2.5 hours, which in a tech call center type scenario, even without a script, that was really challenging. And unfortunately, we had 2 particular customers for whom it got kind of crazy. So I'd get a call from one of these particular customers, and it was guaranteed didn't matter what I had sitting at my desk for caffeinated drink or whatever, I was getting up and taking a walk. Just because they drove me nuts. And, it caused good minor change in the office at times because these particular customers, encouraged the building of test stations. So we'd bring in sample machines to be able to say, okay, give me a second, and I'll call you back in 10 minutes. I want to try this on our test unit and see if I can replicate exactly what's going on your machine. 90% of the time it turned out user error. But, yeah, one was a chauvinist, and that just made the whole process more complicated. But then once he figured out that I was the only tech in the office at the time that was quote-unquote trained, self-trained, but still quote-unquote trained on Macintosh computers, then it became the only person he would deal with, in spite of being a chauvinist. Somehow that doesn't compute, but whatever. So yeah, I will admit I've pulled the stunt of working one weekend shift where this gentleman called in, and there was only myself and one other female staffer on, and we were both at the same seniority level. Like, the other people literally aren't in the office because it was a Saturday. And so this person insisted on speaking to someone else. Okay. And they weren't at that point asking for a manager or anything. They wanted someone else. They didn't want me. So I looked over and she says, okay, whatever. So I bounced them over to her. And then the customer's like, no, I want someone else. Okay, well, bounced them back to me. And they said, no, I want someone else. We had to explain, I'm sorry. We can still solve your problem, but we are the only two on staff this weekend. And the person took a deep breath and went, fine, I know you could solve my problem, but there goes the rest of my day. It's like, I like you too, sir. So yeah, it's a good thing I got out of that industry, because as you can tell, I'm a bit of a crank. Some days. That's cool.
Hello?
I understand the housework falling too far behind. Fantastic Sherlock Fox does some of the stuff. Most of it, actually, because part of it is we have different standards, and I don't believe I do it up to his standard, but in any case, when we do things, if I'm going to be doing certain parts of the housework, it ends up that I'm picky about how it's done. It may not seem like it, but I'm picky about housework, and so therefore to do it always takes way longer than it would take Fantastic Sherlock Fox, and he just wants it done and over with. I hate it and will procrastinate on it because I'm picky about it, so it's like it's very hypocritical, let's put it that way. So yeah, I will avoid housework until it's in a fairly bad state, because I hate doing it, and that's not great, because then Fantastic Sherlock Fox wants it done, and so he does it, and yeah, it gets to be a mess. It gets to be a mess. But rather than fighting, it just gets done. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it's really not fair, because he does most of it because he needs it done, and a lot of it is also I'm not a morning person. That's probably one of the biggest factors, is I'm really not a morning person, like heavily so. And he is by training, if that makes any sense. So you can train yourself to get regularly up at a particular time. For months, I just have not been sleeping all that well at night, so I don't wake up well in the morning. And that means that if we want to have anything left of our day after the chores are done to be able to go and do things, then he gets stuck doing them, because I'm just not in any shape to do them yet. So yeah, that's on my, along with personal fitness and stuff like that, that's on my very embarrassed about, would love to change list. So, yeah. Would love to change, keep saying I'm going to do this or that, and I have a really hard time sticking to it. So yeah, that's okay. When housework needs to be done, lurking needs to be had, right? Isn't that how it goes? I know that some of the streamers make fantastic lurk in lieu of radio. I don't know about myself doing that, but I know that there are some pretty good ones out there. The Fantastic Sherlock Fox that will put on and just leave on in the background while he's wandering around the house doing stuff. You're a pro procrastinator? So, Ruby, does that mean that you put the pro in procrastination? In fact, I need to make a phone call to set up the yard guy to start. Well, at least you talked to them last Wednesday. because my need for, general physical has not been all that great. I've been pushing it off and pushing it off because I hate going to the doctor's offices. It's always just annoying, and they have dumb little rules. And even though the WHO has decided that the pandemic is over, our local doctor's office has not, which means you show up, you show up, you text the receptionist that you're there, then you sit in your car till you receive a return text saying that it's your turn. But here's the thing, that does not mean you bring in the whole crew. So as long as you're a parent with kids that are old enough, then you only send in the one who's actually going to be seen at that point, and everybody else still sits in the car until you get the next text. Like, really? So I've been putting that call off, but it's well overdue, unfortunately. Even though a good portion of it, outside of the outside of the physical, even though a good portion of what needs to be done is actually a big deal. Putting not too fine a point on it. There, that's the word. My daughter is only, nearly 10, and at 10 she's got bunion. 1, possibly 2, and that's one of those things where I really should not be putting it off. Like, that's actually bad to be putting it off. So, it's one of those, I need to get to it soon, and I actually feel quite guilty for not doing it. So it becomes a matter of chasing it down. But then when I'm chasing it down between streams, Murphy's Law, they're on break or nobody's available for the phone, because I know at the other end what the receptionist is up to. Just being an office manager person, she's always run off her feet. And so Murphy's Law have a bad habit of being magneted to the moments where you just can't get hold of anybody. And I don't always want to go back because I hate talking on the phone. That's the thing. We've talked about it / joked about it before, but I'll have to redo the Myers-Briggs at some point just for interest and kicks. But I'm one of those introverted for the first 2 letters. I can't remember off the last ones if it was TJ or FP or some combination thereof, but the point is, so I'm introverted. That's not great as a tech support individual when you're dealing with phone calls all day long. I could be really extroverted with the people I'm comfortable with, i.e. my coworkers. But at the end of the day, I didn't want to answer the phone. I don't mind doing things in writing, but it's one of those, if you send me a text with the expectation of a return answer really quickly, not going to happen. Unless you're, in the same house, you're talking about something lame like dinner. Or not lame, but like simple and easy and whatever. Yeah. So the resulting effect after that was just that I hate being on the phone. I hate making phone calls. But this particular doctor's office, the doctors are great. Like, there's zero argument about that. It's just that I don't like chasing them verbally. I have to now, but I just don't like chasing them verbally. I would rather they had like some sort of online booking system. Even if it was a matter of chaining back and forth on emails saying, here's what my availability parameters are. Could you please let me know what you've got available? Like, something like that. I understand they want the speed of a phone call and haven't got an online booking system to see what their calendar's like. I get that. Also, sometimes in a healthcare situation, sometimes it works better to talk to people, because then you can say, okay, well, I've got this other problem we need to throw on there, and they can ballpark how much time you need, because frequently the patient or the family will not have a clue. So I get a lot of that. I just really don't like doing it. It's actually mildly funny, because there's a running gag at the office there, and it's not just because of COVID. Even before that, the running gag at the office was that I don't like making appointments enough that it's been 3 years. Okay, we'll successfully get them to get their physical updated. Like, I'm that person, unfortunately. You're supposed to do it annually, but I'm still at the stage where, yeah, about every 3 years they phone in the, "Are you still our patient?" "Yes." "Can you please get this updated?" "Yes." But that's for myself, which is getting to be bad news if it's the kids. So, yeah. It's actually, there's apparently, from what I heard rumor-wise from the doctor the last time, there's a mild note on my file that since I'm successfully, more or less, I mean COVID aside, able to make appointments for the kids to get theirs, if not annually, every second year, there's a note on the file saying, "Ask her if she's got time for herself as well when you're at it." It's like, oh, okay. Could be. Maybe you're my big sister. That's awesome. If that was true, that would be super cool, because I'd have an awesome sister. Either that, or we're like remotely one of those sets of, what was it, people who aren't really twins, but they're sort of remotely tied. It's like, what do they say? Your doppelganger or your twin elsewhere? Okay, so this one has a, take that out for what it's worth, but that's a do not go. Well, hey, if we are that connected, it takes one to know one, right? 1, 2. I was just about to say, how did I get offset, but I didn't. It's just the flooring. Okay. Where are we? 22. So I have 2 streams today. This is the first of them. And I realized I'm like 20 minutes over what I was originally planning to do for what do you call it? Debris mining? So maybe for the second one, we'll take a quick flip back and I'll see what I can get done in terms of some of the Abbey reconstruction without being super duper fussy about it, and see if we can make some more progress at that end. Even looking at ideas for making bridges and stuff, so that's probably a good place to start. Because before I can start moving any villagers over to the Abbey, I need to make some progress on the bridge. Woohoo! Okay, there's a miss. Because villagers don't fly. There's other buildings to build an Abbey site too, so I mean, we've got some stuff we can do there. It is, yeah. A lot of it, I think the uncertainty for me this particular time around, and my excuse, is that I don't yet know how the hours and such work out with my kids. I've never been one of those parents that likes to take their kids out of school, even for a doctor's appointment, particularly if it's just a generic checkup type. I don't like taking the kids out of class to do that. So, that's been my excuse for not booking the next appointment. But, I just think in English, I'm just going to have to try and accept that I need to do that this time around. Because, my son is going to be going to a new school in the fall, and I have no clue what his hours are going to be like. Which just means I'll just have to book it. And whatever day it is, show up, pick him up after school. It's just the way it works. So we're looking at two book titles in which a dystopian society appears. Well, book, comic, magazine, I suppose. I've yet to see Kurt Russell in a piece of literature, so feel free to correct me if I've missed something. I'm not super comfortable with dystopian literature. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it. It just doesn't. It's not the type of thing that turns my crank knowingly. So Fantastic Sherlock Fox is the one of us that would be smarter on that front. Provided that he does note that we're looking at literature, not movies. Dune, okay, I'll give you that one because Dune's book series. We're good with that. I was in a conversation not too long ago with one of our other leaders who's a Star Trek fan, and we were actually having an argument as to whether or not Star Trek was utopian or utopian gone wrong. And yeah, I just thought that was kind of amusing. Oryx and Crake by Atwood. Okay, yep. Atwood's good at dystopian stuff. And the Water Knife? I don't recognize that one. I'm glad you enjoyed the recent Dune movie, B. I've heard mixed reviews, but I mean, those that have read the books or seen the older movie, those, like, some of them have been getting really mixed reviews, particularly on, like, Dadcraft's server, for example. There were some that said the new one was kind of slow and didn't cover enough of the story, but every director and writer set who, like, are converting them, they have their reasons for adding or removing various different parts. So it's just interesting to note that, you know, different styles can make the same book look very different, and I think that's kind of a neat way of doing things. I'll be curious to see what comes out of a similar reboot from books and movies to television for the Harry Potter series. I know this is not going to be going down a big Harry Potter route, just simply to say it'll be neat to see if the conversion of platform and allowing it to be a weekly series will actually make much difference in terms of what's included or not included. But it'll be interesting to see if the pace turns out too slow as a result of being a television series instead of a movie. Ready? Come on, map. Show me the tunnels. Dune's been weird from square one. Then again, I guess Fantastic Sherlock Fox, you do read more odd books than I do. Yeah, it's funny, I just came out of a tunnel. You can see there's even piglins going down said tunnel. That doesn't want to show on the map. Is it on the other map? Oh, it is. Okay, good. This one doesn't show enough of the lava. Boo! There's pros and cons to every map, but sometimes you wonder what on earth this thing is thinking. I guess let's go east a little bit more. I could probably do a couple more tunnels up there. Take these a little further. It's funny, when a lot of people think of dystopian societies, they often think of futuristic ones. But some of the books that Fantastic Sherlock Fox has mentioned are not future books, which I think is pretty cool. You know, or the galaxy far away type of sci-fi stuff. Now, I'm not a dystopian literature kind of person. I'm more of an escapist type of literature person. And I'll be honest to say that in looking at the titles for Geek Out, or like the categories when I put them in, no, there we go. When I put them into the system, there are not anything that it just seems to be purely escapist literature, unless you're talking about, like, I think there's one or two questions about romance novels. But now we're back to movies. They want horror films specifically from the 1970s. I'm not a horror film person, so I'm out. But if anybody can even name titles, whether you've seen them or not, it's probably easier. Aha! Well, good luck with the closed captions, if you've got the time. You know what? I think I'm going to take Streamer's Prerogative, and I'm going to kick it to something else other than horror. Okay, what do we got? Choice. No. Go again. Miscellaneous. For fitness gurus or trainers. Okay. We did cover this once before, but I think I'm okay with that. The Incredible Melting Man. Ooh. I haven't heard of that one. That's neat. Is this actually... Oh, no, not that. This one actually... Yep, it is the edge of the lake. Okay. 2, 3. Jack LaLanne. I'm surprised you remember him. Most people I know have no clue who Jack LaLanne was. But yeah, we've got Jack LaLanne and Richard Simmons are probably some of the I would say best known in their time. Jack LaLanne was a lot of fun. I also grew up in a time of Jane Fonda, so yeah. It is, yes. But people pronounce it LaLanne anyways. The, what some would like to call the father of calisthenics, the idea that you didn't need to have a home gym of equipment to be able to do things. That you could still be fit using just your own body. Or not. Or not. So, I don't often make a big deal out of this. And we're told for many, many reasons not to discuss age on stream. Fine. As in, like, be specific sort of thing. I don't see any point. But anyway, I mean, youth for sure. That makes sense. You know, and not to get ageism going on. But I legit do believe that age is just a number. It's a construct. Now, it doesn't mean that it's meaningless. It's more of a way of loosely measuring the averages of how people behave at a particular numerical point. But as long as your body is treating you well, then, you know, it's one of those ones where you're going to have an old age, but it really doesn't matter what the number is. Your body and your mind treating you well. But that said, I also acknowledge that there are those going the opposite direction. They don't necessarily have to physically age, per se, as in their cells act older. But if their body's just not being nice to them at a lower number than for other people, then, you know, like, whatever. There are plenty of young people whose bodies don't treat them any better than somebody else who's is quote-unquote of retirement age. Right? So, yeah. But it does matter in that sense, yes. And how many rotations around the sun? That's actually another way I like to look at it as well. You know, welcome to another solar rotation. Great. My favorite one was somebody, I can't remember which friend it was, but somebody, my friend had another friend who just as snarky who had that whole welcome to another trip around the sun. And they said, and the response to it was, stop the world, I want to get off. I can't exactly say I blame them because the world's pretty weird these days. Yes, well that happens to a lot of us. Hey, we can think young, right? That's one of the best bits about the internet. Is they say on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. The opposite is true. For some youth, nobody knows you're as young as you are. And for others, people may think that you're, you know, quite a lot younger than you are by how you act. And the other thing I find funny is we've got people that, one of them is probably lurking in stream, but we have people in our community who, people think they're older just because they bothered to announce the fact that they're a grandparent. And that's their prerogative, but it's kind of, and it's good to be proud of being a grandparent, but it's still sad that our culture has an assumption that one is a fair bit older or of an age, of a certain age, is often how I hear it said, just because they have grandkids. It's like, no, people had different life choices at their stage, and yeah, whatever. Proof positive, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I was a Reagan kid. So, which is mildly funny because before he left office, I had seen all his movies. Just one of those things my parents did. Okay, so I'm going to be extending this tunnel, but I might as well put everything away. New box. It's another one of those things I guess you could look at it as, is how many presidencies have you lived through thus far, right? Although, I mean, depending on how your president acts, sometimes that number goes up far quicker than just the sheer number of office terms would suggest. Oh yeah. I mean, sometimes it's even just a turn of phrase, right? Like, we talk about, people joke about people being up to the minute with whatever the current lingo is. And there's a word that dates me in itself, to say lingo. You know, but whatever the current slang is. And so I guess another way of dating myself would be, I'm the era of gross and grody. Although grody never really quite worked for me. But yeah, gross was the thing. My mom always wondered why I was saying, that's gross. That's icky. Icky was an old one, but that's gross. It's disgusting. It's gross. And while that one seems to have not really gone away, it was sort of a new thing when I was young. Well, it's actually funny because, for practical purposes, I'm a child of the 80s. I mean, which basically means that, most of one's pop culture knowledge is actually of the 90s. You know how that works. It's always a decade later before you really know much of anything. But yet, we used to use groovy and misconnected to the tail end of the 60s. But once again, that's a geographical thing. And one example in point was I had a student exchange student from Russia. It wasn't really an exchange, actually. It was just more of a student visit that we got to host when I was in grade 7. And she saw a crinoline skirt that I had picked up. I don't know where I got it. I think it was it wasn't even like a high quality one or whatever. I think it was just something that I'd picked up at my mom's mother's place. It had been hanging in their closet for years to be used as playwear for me, even though it was something else. But I had one of those that fit this Russian student, and she asked if she could have it. I didn't have a problem with that. Whatever. If she wants some of my play clothes, sure, go for it. And it wasn't a lack of affording it. Apparently, that with like the 80s denim jean jackets, I was in the 90s by that point, but the denim jean jackets, wear that with a crinoline skirt over some leggings, and they did the whole army boots and socks thing. And that was just starting to hit Russia, which would be almost 10 years behind its arrival and disappearance in North America. So it was just interesting to see that sort of stuff shifts, and the language shifts too. You knew the British invasion. Wow. See? While we may not be... You'd be my big sister, for sure. Cool. My father was working in England in the 68-69 period, and so the number of stories I've got from him is just insane. But then it's kind of funny because the resulting effect is it really skewed our music choices. Like, for example, groups that never really hit it big over here seem to make it bigger across the pond, and that would be more what we listened to in my house. So I mean, we had our fair share of well, my mom actually didn't listen to much of anything. She sort of put up with what my dad played, I guess is really what it came down to. But we had a bunch of Herman's Hermits and Jerry and the Pacemakers and that sort of stuff was kind of what my dad liked to bring in, even though he called them, those were the suits. He liked the Beatles and stuff, and apparently he'd actually seen them in Hamburg because he had been in England, and I mean, it's really not that super expensive to travel to Germany, for a weekend or whatever. But we had stories like that just, you would think, that's so cool. To him, it's just a thing. It just happened. He never got the point of the American late 60s hippie Woodstock thing because he wasn't there. He was old enough for it, but he wasn't there. You rock. I would so love to listen to that playlist. That'd be awesome. So, I'm not the Dubs, the Dynamites, and never will be. But at one point I toyed with the idea of doing something similar to them. But then I looked through similar to them in terms of having a redeem for a song or whatever, and that was the whole sing a snippet thing. It may still be there as an option. But, I did a test run with my particular setup at the moment for guitar. It's not stream ready. And I listened back to it. Ooh, yeah. I've got a voice for a magazine. Let's put it that way. It's not terrible, but it's definitely nothing to write home about. Particularly the way it comes across in a stream. So, yeah, not going to be doing that. But that doesn't mean I don't play that sort of stuff for fun. The reason I like that kind of music best for fun is... Oh, shoot. Is, I guess I like folky stuff because 2 reasons. 1, it's got a story. And 2, unlike some of today's music, you are guaranteed to be able to hear the lyrics. They are very singable. Whereas that's not always the case with a lot of other music. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Hopefully the California Jam was a lot less trouble than Woodstock. C3, Silk Touch. Okay, so we're getting into the picks that are not mendable. That's fine. Not much of the stream left anyways. Silk Touch, right? Right? Yes, okay. That means this is probably the last pick that I can pick up the ender chest with. So I have to be careful on that one. If I wear this pick out, I'm toast. So, yeah. Cool. I took piano, and then we did... In Canada, we've got an option of what they call Royal Conservatory, which is a graded system. And if you actually go, quote-unquote, all the way through, then you can get your teaching certificate. I got as far as, I think, grade 6, whereas my mom went as far as 12 when she was a youth, but never chose to do the teaching. But my dad played guitar for fun for years and years and years. So I decided at one point I wanted to stop and not learn to noodle, but I actually took lessons in guitar and stuff for a while. But I never liked the melody line part of it. That was where my, enjoyment of 60s tunes came from, is we could muck around and just play 60s tunes all day. Score for B. Okay, where are we here? Under the lip. 1, 2, 3. Aha, convenient. And back the other way. Eagles, Black Oak, Arkansas, Seals and Crofts, Black Sabbath, and a few others. It's like, so one group was sort of just starting their era, while the other groups were popular and or winding down. That's a kind of interesting one. Okay, well, I guess I have to skip that one, because you can't go through the tunnel of the other one. It's no good anyways. 1, 2... What is this? 3? Yeah, sure. $14? $13. There we go. So, it's one of those I would have loved to have been there, but I think in all honesty we got the better end of it now by being able to not necessarily have to deal with the generics of concert going, festival going. I'm not a festival person. I mean, the introvert part says that. But the other part was we had a few in my city. They used to call them Edgefest. We've also had the Virgin, like the, Virgin companies bring their festivals out here. I can't remember what they called it. I don't think they called it Virgin Fest because that just sounds all wrong. But in any case, went to a couple of smaller of these Edgefest things. And yeah, I'm not that scene. Live concerts are cool. Like I used to go to Folk Fest with my parents quite a lot. Not because they're folkies, it's that sometimes the interesting groups play folk music. And actually it's one of those, we don't do East Coast kitchen parties because I'm too far west for that by a major margin. But so that would be the kind of thing that we like. We just don't have jams, I guess, really. It's just not a thing. And that's where Folk Fests come in handy because they have lots of jams and everybody can sing to it if they want to, or hum along, or, make a fool of yourself dancing, all that jazz. But the rock concert ones, I've gotten squashed in a mosh pit a couple of times, and yeah, not my thing. That's the other thing, yeah. The locations, by necessity, it can be a little rough. Yay! Pair of them. I like that. So a pair of them to wind down the stream. That's cool. I like that. Actually kind of funny up here. There's quite a lot of music groups that we know of. You know, in Canada we got. But then, different say, well, people don't necessarily recognize the difference between Canada and the US in terms of what we did or didn't have exposure to. That sounds weird to say that. But we don't always have the same exposure, so we know a lot of the American groups, and sometimes they played up here, but for the vast majority of the time, they're Canadian groups, and they didn't always make it big in the US, so there's some groups that I kind of go, you know, hey, what about such and such? Which I thought was a huge group, and they're like people are, who's that? No idea. And then some of the ones that did become big, I've had a couple of different arguments over the years with people saying, oh yeah, that was a Canadian group. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was. No, it wasn't. Okay, fine. It's just not worth getting my nose and knot over. There we go. So I don't really know anymore, unless I'm sure they weren't North American soil to begin with. Then those kinds of conversations I often try and stay out of just because I'm terrible with them. I think we in the US tend to think everyone thinks and does the same as us, or they should. Well, a lot of it's just population based, to be perfectly frank. Population and geography. What I mean by that is, you guys have heard many, many times that population-wise, the entirety of Canada's population can fit in California. Or is not just fit in, but as in it's about as big as California. In which case, it just makes it really challenging for things to leak out of there. California had its own scene, right? But there's other states that don't get a whole lot of noise. And that... So, really what it comes down to is everything's so very regional. I don't know, I would say, perfectly honest, my favorites of the Canadian artists have died. Well, that doesn't help anybody. How did I end up so offset? Weird, what was I doing? I got that tunnel. This tunnel. I have no idea how I got so offset. Looks like I started a tunnel and gave up and then went and did something else. Huh. Where are we? Okay. Interesting. Interesting. It's not mine. Hello, sir. Certainly not mine, because I didn't leave a crafting table down here, as convenient as that would be. Well, I could go to the south end of this map zone and then work my way back up, I guess, but you know what? It's 10-2. Why don't we head back and actually start turning these into netherite? So, it always takes me time to find my way back because I get very, very lost. We're probably going to end up just going all the way to the spawn point, even though technically my home lower portal is closer. I cannot remember where I came down. So yeah, I thought I marked it, but it kind of doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, it takes me time to find my way out of here. We might as well take that adventure and see if the cliffhanger is Glenn's still lost in the nether. Cool, well congratulations to them. Which province did they move to, do you know? Because we have two that are very, very off the rails right now. And one that's an arrogant province. And what else have we got? A weird combination of stuff anyways. Uh-oh. Map. Map, map, map. And it's a map, it's a map, it's a map. It's a map, I'm lost on the map! There we go. This way. That was me being twit. Blocking tunnels as I went. There we go. Okay, so how far up? A bit more, then I've got to go west. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4. Okay. Fun. British Columbia, not a bad place to be. I quite like that one. I'm kind of torn. If I moved to a different province, it would either be British Columbia or it would be Saskatchewan. I know that sounds really weird, but my mother's side of the family was a farming family, so Saskatchewan it was for them. And I quite liked all the adventures and stuff with the family farm when I was growing up. It also was kind of fun. There we go, found it. It also was kind of fun to be able to have some parts of it where you get out in the field and you can just run as far as you wanted to run, provided you watched out for gopher holes or prairie dog holes. But you could run as far as you wanted and then just turn around and run back. It was great. Sunburns galore, but you could see the Aurora Borealis in the summer, and it was just, yeah. So when I was a kid, up to about grade 8 or grade 9 or so, I used to make people look at me funny because I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I didn't know, but for a while I didn't know anyways. You get your typical mix of dancer and doctor and whatever and so on. But then they said, okay, well, where do you want to live when you grow up? And I would insist, I wanted to live in Saskatchewan. That's where I was going to live. And they thought I was nuts. Aha! Sure. Sure. No problem. Okay, actually, let's fly home and then we'll do that, because we're just about there. Oh, fly home might be a little bit easier said than done. One needs rockets and a lighter to make that happen. Yep, no worries. No worries, we're just about 5 minutes to the end, so I think that'll work out well. But British Columbia is a great place to be. And for the most part, they're sensible. Not always, but for the most part. But it's a beautiful province. They're still, as far as I understand, still rebuilding after some major flooding from last year. The weird bit about it is that it was one of those strange world event things that you don't necessarily hear about a whole ton on the news outside of Canada, but they actually had what's basically the equivalency of a sky river dump on them. And that's part of why they had so many problems with the highways and the roads and so on. Yes. Yeah. There was a time when that wasn't the case. I do recall that. Like, as in, even for Canadians, it wasn't a big deal. We would just show our driver's license when we went across. Nothing exciting. But I think it's probably a function of COVID, because the two countries have different sets of rules over what's required. And I'm not even sure what the latest is in terms of vaccination rules and such. Okay, so let's get these going, and then I'll move over and do the Lego. 2, 3, okay, I got 7. 22 feels like a lot, but they're probably not. And the other thing I'm going to do is just nip into a building so that when the phantoms come, I don't get destroyed. Alright. Yeah. As you said, you've got the pro in procrastination, so you were a pro the whole time. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly switch to be right back, get the Lego all set up, and we'll be returning in just a mo. All right, and we're back. So where we left off last week, we were at step 25. We were just adding pieces to the section we've got, and this will be our first flap for our banner shape on the outside. And let's just hit up the... if I can find it. There we go. There's our timer. So let's roll on to the next step and see what we've got. Okay, so excellent time for these. What have we got? Got a big tray on the side here with all my parts, and I'm trying to figure out what I did with them. So first I need 2 flat white pieces. There we go. These 2. Like that. And I need 2 wedges. I can deal with that. 2 wedges. And then 2 squares with little, like a foot lip on them. So we're just going to be squaring off the arch at the top. You can see down below. I'm going to make the 2 pieces and then attach them. Remember where my center of the screen is because I moved it. Oop, nope, twisty. This way. Much better. Alright. They just attach onto the top here and square that portion off. Because of the way that this piece moves at the bottom, it feels like the whole section is floating out of my hand when I'm trying to put things on it, so... There. Yeah, this doesn't quite float right. That's alright. Okay, next. Oh, so we've got the covered section. We've got a pair of windows, and a frame, and 2 doors. Go. Needless to say, we need the handles on the outside. Oh, I have to put them in right side up. That would help. There we go. That's that section. And then the 2 arch windows on top. Yeah, 5 minutes still. Love it. So I'm actually going to go overtime just long enough to finish the Lego 5 minutes, and then we'll definitely raid out. I'm going to picky and turn these around. There's always little marks on them from how they're made, so in this one you can see there's a couple little circles at the bottom. Just barely see those. But the back felt weird and rough, so I didn't like that. Alright, and that just hides in this little slot in the center. There we go. And then it gets locked into place by a straight piece. Oops. Alright, now we get another hinge. Looks like one of the... These are funny. They've used these for all sorts of things. This piece. Not super notable. There we go. And it looks kind of like a gold bar. Like they've actually used those for gold bar pieces in other sets. And I've seen them used for chocolate bars too, which is sort of an odd usage for that particular shape. Now we can hold the top together a bit better. It won't feel as floaty anymore. Now it's a little bit more solid. Alright. So now we're putting on... Looks like the left-hand section. Okay, so we're starting quote-unquote new. This one. And a couple of what I call these slipper shapes, because they look to me a little bit like a Persian slipper with the higher toe. Those slide-on type of slippers. And then, what else do we need? Another one of the bar-shaped ones, and a tan rectangle. We've just got this chunk to put together. The lighting's a little screwball today. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I didn't put my overhead lights on before I moved my camera, and its exposure has gotten really strange. And for some reason, that's one of the things that OBS does not seem to keep remembering is the settings I had for the camera. But hey, it works. All right, and then 32 says I need to put on a couple of vertical bits. This one, and where'd the other one go? There we go. And then curly cues. Yay, I like them. Just one. And I've just seen out of the corner of my eye that we have expired our time. So I will just flip to the next spot. Yep, that's our next step. All right. So let's see if we can find someone interesting to raid. Let's see who's live to begin with. All right, we've got a good number. I'm just going to see if I can catch from their screenshot what it is they're up to today. We have got... I think I'm looking at... Ooh. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I really appreciate that. Well, you know, we've got two choices that I'm going to go with. Not everybody enjoys everything, but we've got Chazzy Mac, who's says, taking a small break, enjoy some words. That could be temporary. He'll tend to go back to Lego fairly quickly after Lego, to Minecraft fairly quickly after that. Or we've got Gutty has just started, and he's day 1500 on his hardcore Minecraft, sorry, building planets, he says. So I'm curious whether people would rather go to Chazzy Mac or to Gutty. I'm looking at Shro for Show, and that was one of the other options. We haven't been there in a while, but he is at over 2 hours, so I don't know if he's going to be on for too much longer. It tends to be about 2 to 2.5 hours max. Actually, we haven't been to Shro for a while. Maybe it's worth taking that risk. He's doing achievement hunting on Dragonfell's Guild Rush. So those are the three options I'm looking at. We haven't been to Shro for a while. Nice chilled out sort of voice. Maybe we'll head over there. Just we haven't been in a while. So, Shro it is. I know I said, hey, do you want to do A or B? And then I came up with, I'm doing C, so that doesn't help anybody. But yeah, we're going to go visit Shro today. I'll get that one started and then say my thanks to everybody. Go.
Mischief managed.
All right, as always, we do have the usual fairly quiet Discord available. And we also have to say thank you to our Fantastic Sherlock Fox and Benson for coming in as our mods. And also thank you to Tom, Jen, Bob, Benson, and B as Fantastic Sherlock Fox as well for being our sub people who were talking today. If your name was not mentioned, I do appreciate that you were dropping in and hanging out today. I will be back later this evening at, you'll see this in Mountain Time, but I will be in at 5 p.m. Mountain Time or 7 p.m. Sorry, the other way around. Yeah, or 7 p.m. Pacific. So we'll be back to doing something a little bit more monastery-based, but we're hopefully going to make some more progress. All right, so thank you to everybody that came in. I appreciate that you were all here. If you need the emotes, those that are subs can use the raid sheep, sorry, the pipe sheep and the raid helmet. If not, go ahead and use the global raid pickaxe. Otherwise, have yourselves a fantastic day, and I will be joining you on the other side soon. Bye-bye for now.